Hey everybody, Tyson here. As we approach the holidays, a good homemade gift is not only sentimental, but is a good option for keeping the cost down as well. In this video, I'll be partnering with the Home Depot. They desire to give you great gift ideas and also provide you the instructions on how to make them. So today, I'll be showing you how I made this charcuterie board out of a single slab of wood that I found in my shop. Now the goal of this video will be to show you a step-by-step process for how I made this board, while also hopefully encouraging you that you can do the same with just a few tools. Let's get started. So for this project, I really wanted to show how you could make this with as few tools as possible. In this video, you'll see me using a sander, but you could use just normal sandpaper. I will be using a jigsaw and a hand drill with a Forstner bit. A couple other items that I picked up were a chisel, rasp, a Dremel stylo, and some sandpaper for my sander. I started off using a flattened board that I found in my shop. You really want to make sure that you start with a board that's flat and level. And then at this point, you just pull out some chalk and just start drawing. You don't really have to make this very complicated. Just draw what you'd like and then just retrace the lines using a marker. Now at this point, you can just simply clamp down your board and use the jigsaw to cut out the lines that you just drew. Now you could definitely cut this out using a bandsaw, but again, if you don't have that, a jigsaw is a perfect tool to use to cut these curves out for the handles. If you get a good set of jigsaw blades and just take it slow, you can basically cut out whatever shape you want. And there you have it. I'm going to be able to make two boards out of this single slab. So for the next part of the process, you're going to want to use that chisel or that rasp to just clean off the bark off the edge. If you're using a board without live edge, then you obviously won't need to use this. However, you still could use the rasp as I'm using here to just round over the edges and make it look a little bit rustic. Especially if you're limited on tools, you could really do this with just the rasp. Now here I'm drawing a circle on my serving handle, and it's going to be my guide for drilling out these holes. I'm using a Forstner bit in my drill, and I'm actually going to drill two holes side by side and clean it up later. Here I'm using the jigsaw again to remove that remaining material and leave me with this nice shape. I'll use the rasp to kind of round over that edge and clean up the inside. And really you could leave it just like that if that's what you'd like. And now it's time to sand the board. If you're using a rough board, you'll definitely want to start lower with your sandpaper grit, but because mine were pre-planed, I was able to start off at about 180 and work up to 220. Here I'm showing you an alternative way to sand the edges if you have an oscillating sander, but you definitely don't need it. Now I will say that I added another tool to the equation. You definitely don't need this. This is just a trim router with a roundover bit, and I wanted to use it just to kind of make it feel a little bit cleaner than using that wooden rasp. But again, you can accomplish the same goal with sandpaper. Now let me just pause and tell you, this is actually the first time that I've ever made a charcuterie board, so I'm just letting you know you can definitely do this. Now at this point I'm using a wet rag to just wipe down the board. This is called raising the grain. You just sanded it smooth and it feels really great, but if you put oil on it, those little wooden fibers would stand up and it'd feel rough. And wiping it down with water first allows those fibers to stand up when it dries, and you can just simply knock them down with a little bit of light sanding. Now at this point, this is my favorite step. Here's where you get to see that wood grain come alive. I'm using mineral oil here, and that's all that I'm using. Now here I'm going to pour some oil on each board and just wipe it in using a rag. This board will soak in that oil so you can put multiple coats. Now using a food grade mineral oil is a great choice for something like this. It's easy to apply and it doesn't require a lot of cleanup. And at this point, the boards are basically finished. For me, I'm going to add something else. It's just a little bit of mineral oil beeswax combo. It's called a butcher block conditioner, and it's going to help polish the board and help protect it from moisture. Now I think these boards are finally finished, but I've got one more thing I'd like to do. Here I'm taking a piece of leather and simply cutting off what I'm going to use as a custom gift tag. I'm grabbing my magic mallet and this leather punch and putting a hole in the very top. And here's where I'm going to use that Dremel. Actually, just kidding. I'm going to instead ask my sister-in-law to use the Dremel because her handwriting is a lot better than mine. Here you can see that she's simply writing, basically using the Dremel like a pen, carving away that leather and making me a custom tag for this board. Now this tool, she said, is extremely easy. I used it myself and it really was. My handwriting is just not that great. Here I'm attaching the tag using some hemp and my board is done. But since I made two boards, let's actually use it. Now at this point, I'm going to let my wife and my sister-in-law do their thing. They're really good at styling and picking the foods for something like this. There were a lot of cheeses I'd honestly never tried or even heard of, but I will say it was really good food. Now you can style your board however you would like, but look at this. Just out of a single slab and a couple of tools, you can make a great gift like this as well. I hope this video was helpful for you. I'd be honored if you'd drop me a comment below and consider subscribing. Thanks so much for watching.